I've grown a lot since joining Crisp and focusing on growing my business. The next big problem is that as I grow, I take on fewer cases. But my clients want me. They always ask for me, me, me. How do I get them to see that my firm can be valuable for them even without me as the attorney leading their case?
Yeah, so I think this is a common trap that many firm owners fall into because for many, they've been the brand of their firm. Their name is on the firm. Anytime anybody sees any sort of marketing, it's them. And you've created a really strong brand for yourself, so everybody wants to talk to you and everybody wants you to handle their case every single time. And for many years, I'm sure that's what was the case, I guess pun intended, that was every single time, every client that that would work with your firm would work with you. But as you've grown, obviously, you no longer have the capacity to work with every single client, nor should you, to be quite honest. I mean, you would never scale your law firm that way. So what do? And where we've seen firms achieve a lot of success with this is that you really have to start building brands around other members of your firm. So meaning that whether you incorporate them into your marketing, whether you start featuring them on your social media, on your website, it is really to convey the fact, when you really get to the root of this, it is the understanding that when someone works with your firm, it is more about your values and the standards that you set and less about the particular lawyer that they work with. Okay, so like for example, if somebody's calling Morgan & Morgan, they're not expecting to work with John Morgan. There's no one that's expecting to work with John Morgan at this point because they've got hundreds of lawyers. But the reason why that firm is still, generates so many cases, is so successful, has been growing year over year, love them or hate them, is a simple fact that they have built a brand around certain standards and a certain type of experience and a certain, I guess, almost like trial standard, if you will, to where when you're working with our firm, here's what the experience is going to be. And it's highlighting the wins of your team members. If anything, it's interesting here because what we've started doing over the years is we'll feature different team members at our workshops. Like we've got our head of people that spoke at a recent workshop. We've got our COO speaking at a workshop. Emily, you've conducted some of the intensives. Like it's bringing other people in and sharing the stage with them and featuring them, because now what you're going to communicate is the fact that, hey, I'm not the only competent one here. In fact, I think what I've done is kind of even the opposite of that. I'm like the least competent here, and I've surrounded myself with competent people. I don't know that a client would necessarily want me to project manage their videos or their campaign or whatever. And you probably would not at this point, because the people that we've hired over the years are way better at that than I am. They're way better. They're way more patient. They're way more skilled. The people that are editing your videos are way better than I ever was at filming and editing videos. Like, you would want them. Like, why would you want me? So it's just recognizing that, like, when you work with your organization and being able to have this type of messaging, here are our standards, here are our values, here's our team, and highlighting them more and giving them more attention. And then when people reach out and there's no longer the expectation that they're going to work with you. In fact, why would they even care, right? They don't necessarily have to work with you. They're reaching out to your firm because they want to work with your firm. But that takes time. And I believe that it starts by starting to feature other people and to share the spotlight and the stage with them. So don't be afraid of that. I don't necessarily think there's anything wrong with it. But otherwise, if you don't do these things, because I know someone's going to listen to this and they're like, well, if I share the stage with them or I start featuring them and then they leave me, right? Then I've just invested all this money into this person that's no longer going to be with the firm. Well, you don't have to do anything. You can stay stuck and make yourself the bottleneck of your entire law firm by just being, the key point person and not featuring anybody else. But if your goal is to scale and to have people reaching out to your firm, not wanting to specifically just work with you, but just wanting to work with your firm, well, then you've got to be able to start, marketing other people and presenting other people. And also the way you talk about your team members is really important, because you have to, whenever a phone is answered or whenever your staff's working or they're communicating something to a lawyer, it's always building them up, of saying like our team of all-stars, our team of, like senior litigators, our phenomenal intake staff, our like XY, like every time you're talking about someone, you should be building them up. Because then, even the way you talk about them, it's not just like our lawyers or whatever it is. It's like really build them up in a way where the way that you're speaking about them is helping to build just their expert status and their level of authority, and that's going to help build trust with your clients. So that's the way to do it. It's not easy. It takes time, but if your goal is to scale beyond you, that's what you got to do.